episode 2 of the Habemus Podcast, a show where we watch HBO's The Young Pope and then talk about it. My name, of course, is Tristan, and, of course, alongside me, as always, is my co-host Harrison Milo Rahajason. How's it going, man?
It's going really well. I had forgotten how fantastic that episode was, and it's kind of an overcast day outside. Feels perfect for the Young Pope.
It does feel perfect for watching episode 2 of the Young Pope, which will that'll make sense later in the show. Our guest viewer today is the editor-in-chief of The Link, the online magazine/publication at Concordia University, Miriam Lafontaine. What's up, Miriam?
Hey guys, what's up?
You're gonna want to speak a little bit louder.
I'm just hey guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the part with the kangaroo.
Yeah, there was a part with the kangaroo. So Miriam.
All right. So just to explain, you want to explain the basis of the show? So the three.
Yeah. So we have three segments that we go through. Episode. So highlight, what you thought was the best thing, best scene, best part of the show. Low light, what you thought was the worst part of the show, and the cherry Coke Zero. Character of the episode, so who you thought shined the brightest in every episode of The Young Pope. But before we dive into that, I have one question for Miriam. Miriam, what did you think of the show?
So there were some parts of the show that I really didn't understand just because I didn't watch the first episode. All I did was listen to the first episode of this podcast. So I know that in the first episode there was something with a nun and a helicopter, something about red shoes. I kind of forget the rest. Oh yeah, cardinals smoking cigarettes. So I don't really know what happened, but I feel like because I am at the second episode, I understood more. But I think there was like half of it that I did not understand at all.
Fair enough.
I feel like that's fair. But I mean, it is fair, and it's going to be the interesting thing on this show. Is some people will have watched the show, some people will not.
Yeah.
You are part of the have not watched the show.
Contingent.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. All right, so let's start with the first point. What was a highlight of the show? And as always, we start with our guest viewer. So, Miri, what was a highlight of the show for you?
So whenever there's a new pope, they get a bunch of gifts. And they always get gifts because they're the pope, but like when it's the new pope, they get a lot more gifts, like way more gifts. So he's going through the gifts and he gets gifted a kangaroo. So I really like that part. He's in this room full of gifts, and then there's a kangaroo in a cage, and then there's this weird like moment where like time freezes and like he looks at the kangaroo and then the kangaroo looks at him, and you're not really sure if it's CGI or if it's real, and like you feel like a miracle's about to happen. But then after that, the kangaroo's just gone for the rest of the episode.
It comes back for a moment when he's walking through the gardens.
He walks through the gardens, and then there's a kangaroo because he's released it into the gardens. But I just wish, like, I really, really like that part of the episode, and I wish that, like, the kangaroo had a larger part in the episode. So I was really upset about that.
So while we were watching the episode, I asked, if there was a larger symbolism to the kangaroo, and I wonder if there's any type of I doubt that there's any sort of biblical significance to a kangaroo, but I wonder if there is some sort of symbolism to the kangaroo, if it has to do with me. Oh wait, the kangaroo mother has a pouch.
Oh.
And Sister Mary.
It must be
raised Lenny, and the pouch.
I think I get it. I think that the kangaroo symbolizes Lenny's higher self.
How?
Because, like, Lenny's
around.
kind of an asshole, and he's, like, really rude and lacks compassion, but, like, the kangaroo is just, like, an innocent animal.
So maybe that's that.
You know what? Yeah.
Harrison, what was your highlight?
So there were so many fantastic scenes in this episode. I think that this was, like... I did not remember how good this episode was, but I think that like my favorite scene in this episode, and like which leads into what I think is the best line in the episode, which is when Lenny is like, "A woman can't be a pope. I'm the pope." So it's that scene where they're trying to decide on Lenny's first papal address, and they're sitting. So it's Sister Mary and Voyello sitting outside, and they're kind of discussing why the address that Voyello had drafted was very balanced, was very good, and she starts to talk about what the Pope is going to do as Sister Mary plus Lenny. And I think that that's very powerful because she is sort of like you said, like her like right-hand man throughout the show. So I thought that scene was like very symbolic. It was very good. Plus it was like very nicely shot. They're kind of like sitting in the tree, sitting like on some trees or whatever. And out of nowhere, some dude just shows up, hands the address, and just leaves. I thought that was really good. That's my favorite scene in the episode.
I didn't even understand that scene.
I guess it is kind of a dialogue-heavy scene, but it's a
Not
good scene.
Not because of the dialogue. I just don't understand. Because I didn't watch the first episode.
So I'm gonna stick with for my highlight. I'm gonna stick with like every opportunity that Pius XIII just gives a speech and it becomes like the dickish person he is. They probably will be my highlight of the show. And so my highlight is comes in very early on when they're discussing about Pope memorabilia.
Oh yes.
Oh my god.
And the Pope just goes on about how this Harvard grad,
yes,
who's like a marketing expert that just was delegated this task of making Pope memorabilia with his face on it, and he just goes on explaining how he is worthless. The Pope shouldn't have a face.
Oh wait, I have some quotes. He says, "I am no one, only Christ exists, and I am worth nothing."
So
I just wanted
So I feel like this particular speech really shuts her up.
Yeah.
And then she really becomes a kiss ass after that. But I think this is like a precursor to a few episodes in there will be a time where the Italian president comes to speak to the Pope, and this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series.
Wait, you're spoiling it for me.
I would agree.
No, well, I mean, I'm not spoiling it, but I do think that this is a precursor to what he ends up telling the Italian president. That's all I'm going to say.
The contents of that scene are earth-shattering.
Exactly.
Yes.
I will not say anything else, but I do think that his dickishness really shows in that scene.
Yeah.
But he's got a plan.
Oh, he's got a plan.
It's God's plan.
It's God's plan.
God's plan.
And also, I will give a honorable mention to the scene where the nuns play soccer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then there's a scene. There's a scene within that little thing where this nun sombreros another nun, and it's amazing.
Can I also give an honorable mention to when he's talking to the boss of the clergy, and when the boss of the clergy says that he is in fact gay, he rings the little bell, and then that woman comes in and is like, "Oh, it's time for your snack," and then he kind of like snickers. He's kind of like snack because it's such a shitty excuse to like get out of a conversation. That's another honorable mention.
So on that note, we'll take a break and we'll come back right after with the low light.
Topics of High Importance, a podcast where we get high and explore food, science, gaming, pop culture, and beyond. Filled with super tangents, forgetful flubs, and that awkward kind of tension that can only be produced by a married couple. Topics of High Importance on the Upford Network. Join us, won't you?
And we're back here on Habemus Pod with segment number 2. Miriam, what was your low light? What did you not like in this show? Or what was poor or something?
I really didn't like his speech that he gave to the people.
The papal address.
Yeah, you know, like when you first saw, like there was this scene where everyone was on the bus there singing, and they're all so excited, and like, you know, I could imagine like my dad being one of those people just because he's Catholic and my family's Catholic. But you know, people get really riled up for this, and like it's a really big thing for Catholic people, and then they get there and he's can't see his face and he's just really mean. It's like, why is he so mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why so mean, Lenny?
Yeah.
Or Pius the 13th.
Pius 13.
Or Your Holiness.
Or Your Holiness.
You're not supposed to call him Lenny, actually. I think, actually, for the rest of this episode, we should not call him Lenny. We have to call him
His Holiness.
His Holiness, because that's been corrected now at the second episode.
Yeah.
So I think we should take note.
Or Pius the 13th.
Pius the 13th, yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah.
What was your low light?
So my low light, and I'm sure that you will agree with this, it's the introduction of the subplot with the married couple that can't.
So like the first scene.
Yeah, the first scene. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
So the subplot, that's a subplot that like carries way too much importance throughout the show, and it's only like you said, so I don't want to spoil.
So let's not have this discussion on this episode. Let's have it when this subplot concludes.
Yeah, which
is around episode 6. I want to say
probably maybe it's before the whole New York thing. So yeah, I would say around there. So I think that the introduction to that, without any like substantiation of it, so like all you see is that first scene where they're having sex, and then you see the woman in the crowd at the papal address in the last scene crying. That's all you get. You do not hear. You hear the guy's name a few times, and I forget
because
what his
he's
name
a Swiss guard.
Yes, exactly. I can't remember what his name is. You hear that a few times, but that's it. So like I don't think that scene, like they don't develop it properly, and it's kind of.
It's just confusing.
Yeah, it kind of just doesn't sit well with you because it's like you have that like sex scene, so like, you know, sex sells, like you want to hear more, and then it's like kind of just like leaves the episode, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah, it is a subplot, probably my least favorite subplot in the show. I was gonna go with a similar low light, but because you said it, I'm gonna go with something else. But you mentioned it in your highlight.
Okay.
I'm really disappointed with the excuse given when the Pope presses the button.
Oh yes, the snack.
God damn, there are so many things a Pope can do, and you go with a snack. God damn.
Of all the things that
you go with a snack.
It could be like, oh, like a priest was just murdered in Guatemala. Like, no.
It was if we think that the reason why the Pope drinks Cherry Coke Zero is a product placement. There should have been a product placement there. It should have been
Cherry Coke Zero time.
So I didn't see him drink any Cherry Coke Zero.
You actually don't see him drink it the rest of the series.
No.
So he just does it in the first episode?
He doesn't even drink it in the first episode. It's just mentioned.
It is mentioned. So the Pope does not eat a lot. He only really drinks Cherry Coke Zero.
What he doesn't eat?
Like he eats very, very.
He eats snacks.
One would say.
Crackers with peanut butter. Cherry Coke Zero.
I wonder if that's another Trump thing, because you know how Trump is like notoriously uncreative with like what he eats. He's totally happy eating like steaks and ketchup and stuff like that. Maybe that's a
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. The show is a bit too old.
No,
isn't it 2 years old?
It's right around. It was during campaigning.
It's during campaigning.
Yeah, but that's before he was president and before we knew his diet.
No, we knew.
However, it was filmed before the whole Trump thing.
And also Trump eats a lot, and this dude eats crackers with peanut butter.
I
just made that up.
But however, the idea of a snack is
Pope snack
is a very poor choice of excuse.
I agree.
And also, like, goddamn, like that scene before, it's basically just a grudge match between two dickish people.
Yeah.
Very much dickish people.
Yeah.
For completely different reasons. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll make another break and then we'll conclude with our third segment,
which is the crowd favorite
here on episode 2.
I'm Tom Zalatni, host and producer of Up for Discussion, a long-running comedy podcast on the Upford Network. Every week, me and my team of hilarious improvisers use audience-submitted questions to dive deep and delicious into every topic under the sun. Nothing is off limits. The audience has full control. It's like going to an improv show, only it's in your ears, and nobody's asking to see a scene about sex toys. Hopefully. One reviewer called it an underappreciated cult classic. Another reviewer called it not a very compelling product. Go check it out and see for yourself. The Up for Discussion podcast. Available wherever fine podcasts are sold.
And we're back with our final segment of the show, the everybody's favorite, the Cherry Coke Zero character of the episode. Miriam, which character did you like best? It doesn't have to be... So, the thing we should mention about this is it doesn't have to be Lenny, it doesn't have to be a serious character, a major character in the episode, just a character that you really liked and why.
However, I think we have to introduce the caveat. Do we want to do this? I think that
you don't have to.
I think
good.
I think that Voyello should be off. I think that he should not. You should not be allowed to.
You know what? I didn't think anything of that guy. So.
Okay.
Well,
there you go.
Then Voyello could be yours. But anyways, go ahead.
I guess to be honest with you, I didn't like any of the characters that I watched.
It's valid.
I thought that they were all mean people. They didn't seem very likable. Also, I didn't feel like the characters were very developed. I guess because it's the second episode, but I didn't really feel like I understood the personality of any of these people. But maybe Spencer, because she designed like the really ugly plates.
No, she's not. Her name is not Spencer. Her name is Sophia.
Oh, see, wait, the one with the plates. Who's she?
Sophia.
Yeah, the Harvard grad.
Yeah, so the Harvard grad. Why did I like her? I liked her the least. I didn't like her, so.
Well, I mean, you could like a character for being awful.
Yeah.
Like those are like you could have that specific
I just don't
context.
understand how someone who graduated from Harvard in marketing made these plates that have like they look like they were painted by like a 12-year-old, and they're really ugly.
Yep.
Got him.
No, I don't think she made them. I think she just sanctioned them to be sold.
Yeah.
They were made
But then
by
she
craft
sanctioned
people.
them. She was like, these are good enough. So
Yeah.
her judgment is obviously lacking. And then during the papal address, she was crying, and I'm like trying to understand, is she like kind of like the PR person of the Pope?
She's one of them.
She's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so like during the address, and he was just bombing it so bad, his face was covered. This one guy was like, "Let me look at your face," and he was like, told him off, and then he stormed off, and then she was crying because this was such a media nightmare.
Those are not the same people. The person that was in the crowd, that was the lady who was having sex in the first scene.
Well,
yeah.
I can't keep up. Okay, let me look. That's how my mind understood the plot. So yeah, that's how it is.
All right.
Fair
well,
enough. That's an indictment on the show.
Came in with little context. We're gonna have some slip ups.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. On that note, what is your? You could go.
No,
with
I wasn't. I don't think that this was. Voyello shines, but not particularly in this episode. There are some episodes where he's like clearly the best one. I'm going to so apologies to Miriam. I'm going with Sophia as well. I thought that she was the best, that she was the brightest character in the show, and I think that the best thing that she did was when His Holiness was just like ripping those plates and was saying, "Look, these blank white plates. This is what we should be selling because I don't exist. The Pope has no face, etc., etc."
Nerd.
Yeah. At first she was kind of like very wary of what he was saying, and then by the end she was smiling and she's like, "I think I understand you," and I was like, "That's beautiful." That was the only part of this whole episode.
That
where
was
I'm like,
sad.
That's
It was
great.
like she didn't assert herself.
She didn't assert herself, but I feel like she understood a very weird thing that a very weird person was telling her, and in the development of the show, we don't ever hear about the plates again, so I feel like that's a perfect way to tie in that like one thing that they were going to mention. One time in the whole show they're going to mention plates, and that's.
I mean, I feel like that was settled from the end of that scene. It was settled.
There will be no plates. Exactly.
There will be no plates.
That's dumb.
All right, so I'll start by giving an honorable mention to the quote, "We want to look you in your face," because he says one thing and we don't even really see him.
Nope.
But he shines.
No, he shines.
He's like the best. He's one of the best characters in the show.
Yeah.
But I do want to give my Cherry Coke Zero character of the episode to Sister Mary.
Oh.
Because Sister Mary is pretty badass throughout the whole show.
She is.
Except for the one moment where she is being told not to call Lenny again.
Yeah.
But
why does she slap him?
And that's where I'm going.
Okay.
So the Pope had just if we follow the scene chronologically, if we follow the show chronologically, or the episode, he is back from his talk with Spencer, and he feels in the scene he feels kind of like shook a little bit.
Yeah.
And she goes with the bold move of slapping him in the face and just being like, "I see the reflection of God in your face."
Yes. Got him.
And then, so I feel like Sister Mary gets him back on his tracks there. Yeah. But then he fucks it up
and
gives that horrible speech. But that's it. For the boldness of slapping him in the face, and also for that shirt. I'm a virgin, but this is an old shirt.
And one more thing that like I feel like this scene is more important than we realize. Is that whole scene where Voyello is going into that apartment building, followed by what we aren't told, but like what appears to be a woman. So the woman is actually just going into another apartment, but she's suspicious, and we're suspicious. And then he's just going up because so Voyello's best friend is that like that disabled young boy.
Yeah,
Jerome. Yeah, that's what his name is. And he was just going to see him, and she's stalking him because she's like, "What is he up to with the binoculars in that parking lot across the street?" I thought that whole scene kind of like it was important foreshadowing for a subplot that I think is pretty important, and that's Jerome's like conversation. Voyello's conversations with Jerome. So I thought that was very good. I thought that worked.
I also want to say I really liked whoever put the laser pointer of the green light on the Pope's face. And he was like,
because
his face was dark.
But if that were to happen in real life, like the panic,
they would get arrested. This person would get arrested.
Well, this person would get arrested, and the Pope would be like yanked off the stage, and because people would think, "Oh my God, there's a sniper! Like he's about to get shot."
I feel like the security around the Pope was very loose,
very lax for
very loose.
Yeah.
For a Pope for a papal address, that was a bit.
I thought he was going to have glass.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. You probably don't see it or something.
Because
or maybe they just forgot about
after John Paul, because John Paul II was known, like he had been shot like a number of times, right? I think twice.
I don't know.
Because he got shot once in the U.S., I want to say, and then every time after that he would be like, brought into a city, he would just be in this like glass thing.
Oh yeah,
yeah, the Popemobile.
Yeah, the Popemobile. Exactly. Yeah. Which I find to be
okay, guys.
hilarious.
At what point in the season do you think this Pope will get shot at? What episode?
Well, we know.
We watched the whole thing.
And
just pretend you don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Episode 11, Miriam.
Yeah, episode 11. I feel like that's his. That's his end point. 11. Because there is no episode 11. Yes. Before we end the show, we did not ask Verity this, or did we?
If she was going to continue watching.
No, but I feel like at the end we should probably ask guest viewers if they liked it.
Yes.
So Miriam, did you like episode 2 of The Young Pope?
And did you like the Young Pope period?
Oh, I'm not really sure.
You're not sure?
You're not sure? I mean,
I just didn't think it was... I don't know if I could like really watch a whole season of this show.
That's a very
that's a very fair answer.
It's a difficult show to watch. It's like a show that it's not an easy show.
And it's just all these people smoking cigarettes and not enough. I don't know, just
too much cigarettes, not enough food.
Yeah, there isn't enough
for an Italian show.
There's like no food in the entire episode. I want to see food.
I mean, you see the Pope eating watermelon for like half a second.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was Catholic, I would like this show.
I mean,
Really?
I'm only Catholic by birth, and I don't.
But
Me too, but I just...
Because
I don't understand the references,
a lot of
which is frustrating. So like,
Yeah.
maybe if I was a priest, I'd like this show.
Because the Catholic Church did not like this show.
No, the Catholic Church did not.
Did they like release a statement saying we don't like this show?
I don't know about. I know I think it might have been a couple like archdioceses like around saying like, oh, if you're Catholic and you live in this area, like do not watch the show. It harbors heavy anti-Catholic sentiment. But the Catholic Church did not fuck with this show.
Yeah,
Well, my dad's never watched this show and he's Catholic. I'll ask my uncle who's a Catholic priest, so...
Yeah.
Hey, well, maybe
How many Catholics watch this show?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure they know about this show.
Probably.
So I guess you already answered this question, Miriam, but will you be watching more episodes of this show?
I think the only way I'm going to consume this show is through this podcast.
Which is even better, let's face it.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out.
And if you happen to have a guest in the office and I'm there, like maybe I'll sit and watch the show with you.
Uh-huh.
But you tell me the episode where the kangaroo comes back, and then
Okay, yeah, we could do that.
I don't know. Like, I guess I'm getting tired of him. I'm already tired of the Pope. I think he's
overbearing.
He's just an asshole.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, yeah, that's
totally
what,
overbearing.
But I feel like that's what makes the show's charm.
That's
I'll be
the
honest.
point of the show. That
is the point of the show. It's like, look at this awful Pope.
Person. Yeah.
Asshole.
Yeah. So on these fine words, it is time to end.
Do we say who's gonna be on the next one?
No, let's not do that.
Okay.
Not yet.
let's keep that a secret for now. But on that note, thank you so much, Miriam, for joining us for episode 2.
Yes.
And for bearing through this HBO series.
It was definitely a privilege. I've never been a guest on a show, so this is a pretty big deal, actually.
Well,
cool.
We're glad to have had you on.
So we would like to thank Aiden Locke for creating the logo
shout out
of the show. I would like to thank you as well, Harrison.
I would like to thank you, Tristan, as well.
And I would also like to thank the Upford Network, which our show is part of. And
your other show too.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably listened to, like, if you're gonna listen to this show, you're probably gonna hear an ad starring Julian McKenzie. But yeah, on that note, hope you enjoyed episode 2. Have yourself a nice cherry Coke Zero. In the meantime,
I'll make sure to.
Yeah. And we'll hear you on next time.
The young coach.